Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Home Performance Counts virtual green home tour. Today, the tour series takes us to Pebble Beach, California, on the shores of the Pacific Ocean to Villa Bilancia, the brand new, nearly completed home of the Hayward family. Bill Hayward is the CEO and Chief Sustainability Officer of Hayward Lumber, an almost century-old California lumber and building materials supplier. Over a decade ago, the Hayward family moved into what they hoped was their dream home, only to discover that living in a sick house made all of them ill. That experience inspired Bill to help people better regulate their homes and led to the creation of the Hayward Healthy Home Principles and the Hayward Score, with the goal of transforming home construction so that homes will not degrade human health. Based on Bill's acquired building science and healthy living knowledge, the Haywards have designed and constructed a new dream home over the past 5 years, Villa Bilancia, that he is sharing with us today. Bill is joined on the tour by Jillian Pritchard Cook of Atlanta, Georgia, the founder of Wellness Within Your Walls, which provides a roadmap to healthier living environments through a 10-step system. Jillian is also the founder of interior design firm Des Sin and has more than 30 years experience with design projects all over the world. Home Performance Counts is a joint initiative of the National Association of Home Builders and the National Association of Realtors. You can learn more at homeperformancecounts.info. Please note that this session is being recorded and will be uploaded for on-demand viewing on nahb.org in the next few days. Please note this webinar is copyrighted by the National Association of Home Builders and is intended to provide complete and accurate information on the subject matter covered as of the time of publication. I'll now give you a minute to review the copyright and disclaimer statement. Our learning outcomes for today are explore how green building strategies and features of a home can impact its comfort, health, efficiency, and durability for the families that live in them, discuss how to communicate green and high performance features to clients in a relatable way that increases customer interest and understanding, and recognize the advantages of a strong builder-realtor relationship in realizing the value of green in your next sale. Today's tour is about 28 minutes and will be led by Bill and Jillian. They will be joined for a live Q&A after the tour by California Realtor Scott A. Chaplin of Delray Urban and GFC LLP. Scott is an expert in real estate development, acquisitions and dispositions, financing, construction, and related litigation, and is well-versed in the healthy home market, having been on Bill with his journey over the last several years. Please drop your questions at any time during the tour or during the conversation following using the Q&A feature next to the chat button at the bottom of your Zoom webinar window. Both the questions addressed during the Q&A and any that we don't get to will be summarized and available in the replay library with today's content. Now it's time for the tour of Villa Bilancia. Enjoy.
This is the very site of the house that we got sick on 12 years ago. And we pulled it down about 6 years ago to build our dream house, a healthy home. I thought I got all caution tape out yesterday. Slight detail changes.
I just traveled over 3,000 miles to meet my dear friend and mentor, Bill Hayward. Together, we've been on a journey to create healthy home design and construction for all.
So I'm really excited today. Jillian Cook is coming to visit. This will be the first time she's seen the house, and she's worked with me on it since the beginning.
At Wellness Within Your Walls, we've worked 15 years to create a now fully mature home certification program. And it could not be more apt that Bill's home, the man who created Hayward Healthy Home, in parallel to our effort, will become our first flagship residence.
Yeah, you can park right here. It's perfect. Perfect. Hello, Jillian.
Oh my gosh.
I'm glad you're here. Are you ready to see what we've been working on for years now? They're not the final gates, but they're good starter gates.
These
You
are
ready?
starter gates, my goodness. Can't wait to see the final. Oh, wow. This is magnificent. My goodness, she must be so proud.
We are really excited, really. I wish it were done, but you know, construction really never ends.
It's the journey, isn't it?
It's a journey. The journey's been a great learning experience. A lot's changed in our knowledge about how to make homes healthy. And now it's time. The honor's yours.
Thank you so very much.
big push because these are big doors.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing. Oh, this is spectacular.
Should we go in the 18th century room?
I didn't think it was possible to have the level of authenticity that this architecture is about. Sustainability, high performance. But you set the bar when it came to health and wellness. And my first impression when I walked in the home was immediate, that you accomplished it. The air, I don't experience this walking into a new home.
Doesn't smell like new construction.
It does not smell like new construction. It is so quiet. It's just amazingly quiet.
It's the magical outcome of a super tight space, an airtight space. You don't have bugs getting through the walls, it's airtight, you're not losing your energy, but it's peacefully quiet. It completely blocks the outdoor sound so you can sleep, low stress, remove the stress on the body. Watch. Still pretty quiet outdoors.
But you have some birds on key out there.
We think a healthy home should be like a blank slate. It shouldn't be like getting in a sports car and revs you up, or getting in a really mellow space and quiets you down. You can have rooms for that. Ideally, it's a place that's neutral, but it allows you to live your best life with the lowest possible body burden on you. Julian, we've been working on the elements that create a healthy home for over 10 years, as have you, and I'm fairly confident that this is one of the healthiest homes ever built in America. It's also, of course, green. So let's do a little tour of what makes it healthy.
Looking forward to it.
Okay.
Phil.
What we really felt is we wanted to create a beautiful home where the green and healthy was invisible. So the house itself spoke, and when architects and others see it, they could say to themselves, oh, wow, if you can make it green and healthy, and I can still have the aesthetic I want, then I'm going to design it. It's now ready for prime time. The tools to create energy efficiency exist. We just need to use them more. We've also solved how to create healthy homes. Those tools have existed for over 10 years. And where maybe 15-20% of the population would demand energy efficiency, 60% want health. And the great news is, when you make a home healthy, you also make it tight and energy efficient. So you get that value too. So health is really the powerhouse that's going to make this change happen on a much faster scale than the drive to energy efficiency.
It's been a paradigm shift. You know, energy, energy, energy. Now it's health, health, health.
Yes, it is. The first principle of healthy home is healthy fresh air. And fortunately, we have it out here. This is some of the healthiest air in the world. It's coming straight off the Pacific on a good day, right? And who wouldn't want this kind of air in their house? The problem with most houses is the air inside the house is infiltration air. It leaks in through walls, cavities, and bad spaces. It's not fresh air. So in this house, because we've made it airtight, we've added these ventilation systems. Now they're bringing in the outdoor air, and they can filter it. So if it's a wildfire day, we're filtering it. But they also buffer the humidity inside, so it holds between 40 and 60. So now we have the right temperature inside and clean fresh air. And from another standpoint, there's no dust. And from an affordability standpoint, yes, these are great systems, but the very systems I have, Habitat for Humanity uses as well. So if they can afford it in their system, everybody can.
Absolutely.
In this house, we did everything imaginable to make it healthy. But there are just a few things that get you 80% there and that are affordable. And so for the general market, we can focus on those few things that don't cost so much and create a high impact on health and build them in. And that's what we've done in Hayward Healthy Home, and that's what you're doing in Wellness Within Your Walls. So in an architecturally beautiful house, there's a challenge to add fresh air ventilation. You need two vents, one for supply, and it needs to look beautiful, and one to exhaust. So my wife found those fantastic chimney vents, 200 years old from London, on Etsy, and that's the exhaust air. One of the interesting things in all houses is a stack effect. Air's always rising. Stairwells happen to catch all the odors and everything in the house. So when you're designing great fresh air, at the highest point in the house, you want to put it in exhaust, and builders often forget that. We have a vent right here, and that is the highest point of the house. 99% of the time you walk upstairs in a house, it's hotter upstairs. What's your experience?
Same temperature.
Right. That's what happens when the air is being mixed throughout the house and the thermal envelope has been built properly. We have 6 ERVs in this house. Some are located in utility rooms, but here, because I think it's beautiful, we've located amongst the storage in the master closet. And here we are. This unit's amazing. Modern energy recovery ventilators are quiet. They operate continuously 24 hours a day because, of course, we're continuous breathers. We don't stop breathing, so this whole idea of intermittent is not really a healthy program. This runs on about 40 watts, which is stunning. That's a very low level of energy.
Very, very low, very low.
And you get the passive benefit of humidity control.
And you cannot even hear it. Would I get the same results with one in a smaller square footage as you have in this home with 6?
So the answer is yes, because we designed for the size. A 2,500, 3,000 square foot home would do fine with one system.
The main bedroom is essential to creating healthy indoor air.
These ceilings are really something.
So the principles of continuous ventilation mean we're going to supply in every bedroom an exhaust from the kitchen, laundry room, and bathroom. But because we know that sleep is such an important element, in this house we put extra air into the master bedroom. Here are the supplies. There's one on either side.
And are these supply, or is that
So those are exhaust. That's not normally done balancing one bedroom, but because we want to be able to open the windows at night and sleep with outdoor air sometimes, we have at least 2 windows with screens to get cross ventilation. We then didn't want to lose the heat of the house in the main part of the house. So there's the bathroom over there, and it will be thermally insulated from the bedroom so that you can have a cold bedroom at night, but you walk in the bathroom, it's warm and toasty warm, and it's inside the thermal envelope.
Oh my, this is spectacular. It's truly a work of art.
Well, thank you. This whole house was built around this oval bathroom. All these natural materials, the tub, the finishes, 18th century chandeliers, and that view.
In a house with a balanced ventilation system, you get to do away with the bath fans, which is really good because now you don't have bath vents that can leak out extra air, and you don't have penetrations through the roof. The best way is balanced, because then you're bringing in as much air as you need to equal with the exhaust, and you're bringing it from an intentional inlet with a filter, not a random infiltration hole in the wall.
We have 2 exhausts, one here and one here. And inside the shower, we have a continuous exhaust. So the system operates continuously, so that the house is always filled with fresh, clean air.
I think it's remarkable how many finishes you've brought into this room. And you're mixing some of these silver leaves with some of the delicate designs that are done on bronze. But your faux finisher really did a remarkable job. And once again, it doesn't smell, which is so hard to do.
It's critical not to have an odor. We want it odor-free. And the house style is a 16th century style Palladian. And Palladio introduced these faux finishes in the 16th century. So it's very much in style, but it's affordable. And the natural materials don't off-gas. And then we have really amazing water. We have a whole house filtration system that not only filters the water that we drink, but the water we bathe in and the water we shower in. Soft, it's not going to corrode the pipes, and it tastes great. It's also good for the skin.
I want to learn so much more about this water system.
After bathing.
Bill, before we go downstairs, would you mind telling me about this rose motif?
Yeah, so my wife Adriana is the designer on the whole project, and she loves 16th, 17th, 18th century. She had seen a similar staircase designed from that period.
And this, I don't think, is the final finish, is that correct?
No, the final finish is being applied down below. Now we're going down into the central nervous system of the house. A big garage, because I have a few cars I want to be able to park here.
Well, it's more than a big garage. You could certainly use this in a multifunction fashion, too.
Absolutely. It doubles as a nightclub, a playroom, a kids event center, right? It has lots of uses.
Garage band.
Garage band, and my conference room.
There you go.
But this is the water system. This is a Tensui water system. It's a filtrate system that completely filters and cleans the water and then remineralizes it with minerals. It's based on ancient Japanese water processing systems. It makes the best tasting water, and it's super healthy. And it's whole house.
Did you do something special down here to help mitigate the chemicals and the odors?
I'm glad you asked, because one of the essential things is the garage. In most homes where the garage is attached, 20% of the air you breathe leaks in through the garage. So at Hayward Score, we say, what's in your garage is in your house. And what do people put in their garage? All the stuff they don't want in the house, the lawn mower, the snow blower. So that's bad. This garage will hold antique cars. So we put an amazing ventilation system in it that will ventilate the entire garage.
These floors are really nice too. I love the wide plank.
Yeah, these are all water-based UV finish, and they were finished outside of the house before
So they
delivery.
were off gas before they came here.
Yes. Okay, another fun door. This is an 18th century door from Venice. Look at the way that baby opens with a little...
Oh my, what room are we entering?
It will be a theater room. You can dance, you can have a slumber party, you can do a whole bunch of things. But we also bring architects here to talk about the principles of a healthy home. And when we're done with the presentation, I can press that button and I can show them a ventilation system. Oh, and an unfinished house.
Bill, I pretty much expected with a house of this size that when I walked into your lower level rooms, I expected to see wonderful windows with wonderful light and wonderful views. But these are your secondary bedrooms, and you've captured light equally as well as you have in other parts of the home.
Well, isn't natural light essential to a healthy home? And then of course we were able to put the view glass in, which takes natural light, which can sometimes be overbearing, and make it visually comfortable, thus reducing stress on the body.
The colors that have been chosen for these rooms as well, this is west facing, so you do get a lot of light late in the day, but there's a nice tone on these walls that marries the natural light, that makes it soothing. And the way you've obviously considered LED, but then introducing in very special places this other lighting.
Almost all our chandeliers are recycled. They're 18th century, and it took a lot of work to make them LED.
I bet it did, but it'll be worthwhile, especially on your energy bill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing I was thinking about, there's no odor, and with 88,000 chemicals really having no meaningful testing.
It's really difficult to get low toxic chemicals, and low toxic is the best we can get. So the first challenge is selecting them. The big challenge is policing the builders to make sure they actually use what you selected. And then ultimately making sure you have enough ventilation, because there's always going to be a little more than you'd like.
So before we leave the room, I have to know what this little box is all about.
So that is a modern IAQ sensor. It's actually a really good one. We have them set up for construction. The final ones are actually built into the house, but we wanted to monitor the amount of chemicals that were being used throughout the process and make sure there weren't any renegade chemicals. And we can see it live on this phone. It tracks it, tells us the history.
But then that gives you what that might be doing as it relates to
Yeah,
your
if you've
body
got a
burden.
high off gas, you know that it's a problem. And it's a problem for the builders,
Yeah.
right? So you want windows open.
Yeah. Oh my, these are really great. They're so small. I didn't even notice them until you turn the light on.
They're great. The architects go crazy for them, and they're actually sailboat lights. They're LED.
Tell me about the windows and the different colors.
Okay, so healthy home, it's essential to reduce the body burden. Light, sound, air pollutants, VOCs. This glass allows us to do that because it can change color. It can either be in this clear stage or it can go to this dark blue stage. When it's in the dark blue, it blocks 91% of the heat gain. So that's again reducing stress on the body. But what we've found is that when it's in its darker phase, the visual comfort you achieve is stunning. It makes it so much more pleasant to be in a room. And we now see that when people have this kind of glass in a residential setting, they sleep 12% better. So this is amazing. Also, big energy savings, and we didn't want to have window coverings which collect dust and do a whole bunch of things. This no longer necessitates window coverings. And in a house like this, you usually see a small fortune spent on blockout blinds that drop out of the ceiling and soffits that there are no space to put them in, right? It's a lot of money. This is a cheaper way to go and a much more elegant way to go.
So the automation is built in within the window.
Yes, it's the future of glass.
It's a great solution.
And you think about these views, right? In the afternoon, the glare is off the chart. You can't see, it's too bright. Everybody drops their blinds. You pay for the $1 million view and you don't get to use it. With this, we have a 260 degrees of view.
That's amazing.
Now, Jillian, I want to show you a place that's just dedicated to wellness in this house.
Is this the place that you get to escape from the kids every now and then?
I get to close the door, do yoga, relax. And what we learn, and I learned this from you, is if you don't have a dedicated room for wellness where the yoga mat's laid out, you tend not to use it as often. And I use it substantially more when it's ready to go.
Well,
Let me show you.
Yeah, I'd like to see.
I'm blaming you on this.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Do you have indoor-outdoor dedicated area, or is it just
Well,
pretty
so
much
this
inside?
does feed right into an outdoor space. You could do yoga outdoors, and you can also have a nice hot tub. You got to see this. Outdoor area, right? You can use it for...
elevated, which gives you even more of a view.
I don't know that I'm ever going to leave this spot.
It's unbelievable. Well, Bill, if we're going to chat about dedicated wellness areas, it really brings to mind how you handled EMFs.
Yeah, electromagnetic frequencies are a big deal, right? Again, we want to reduce the body burden. So we made sure that they wired the house correctly. That's the first step. Second, we noted where the desk is going to be, favorite chair is going to be, and the bed. Told the electricians to keep all electrical runs at least 5 feet away. And where we mounted the Wi-Fi systems, 10 feet away from favorite desk, favorite chair, and favorite bed. So that really covers most of the issue. And then finally, we can turn the system off at night. So when we're sleeping, we have no Wi-Fi signal in the house at all. And if you really are desperate, we have a plug-in by favorite desk, favorite chair, and favorite bed.
Well, Bill, this has been an amazing tour thus far, but I'm really excited about seeing the heart of the home.
Ah, you mean the kitchen, where it all happens.
Where it all happens.
Voila! This is a space that was really important to us because we wanted the kitchen separate, but we have a little breakfast room, lunchroom, homework room here so we can have our fun times in here and go to a separate room.
But I'm really interested to know in how you approached your appliance science in this kitchen.
Okay, that's a really important question for a healthy home. Let's start with the induction. No gas. We really like to see induction because it cooks at 1,000 degrees instead of 1,600. It aerosolizes a whole lot less carcinogens, and it's fast and energy efficient, and you don't have the toxins from the gas. Great ventilation, and then down at the floor, we've introduced makeup air, which turns on automatically, here and here. When the Miele induction range turns on, it turns on the fan and brings in the makeup air, and that's the only way to truly exhaust all the cooking gases up and out. Then there's no microwave in this house. Microwaves throw off a lot of EMFs, they leak. So we put a steam oven in the house. It heats almost as quickly as a microwave, and it's a super good way to cook food and keep all the nutrients in and not overcook them.
Yeah, I've found that a sous vide or a steam oven is absolutely the way to go with these new kitchens. I'm very impressed with your ventilation strategies and that you have no microwave.
Well, thank you. You know, these kitchen gases are sort of the new toxin that we understand about homes. And if you think about it, usually people don't even run the range hood. And all of a sudden, all those gases go floating up into the kids' bedrooms. The kids are trying to do homework. They're not thinking clearly. We're not thinking clearly. If we just press the on button, we can significantly reduce the amount of toxins in the house. We have a composting drawer to keep those vegetables happy. Easy place to put it. Dishwashers, 2 of them, because big family, 5 kids. And these are super cool. They kick open after you're done to let the steam out.
Chat a little bit about commissioning would
So
be
you
helpful.
introduced me to this idea that you needed to off-gas the appliances. I hadn't thought about that. So we took our appliances out in the driveway and we plugged them in. The odor was stunningly terrible for half a day. And I thought to myself, wow, most people just fire those things up in their new house. It was really bad.
So what do you use for your cleaning products?
You know, traditional cleaning products require lots of different stuff. But in the world of green cleaning products, many of them are multi-purpose, so we get fewer. And we get them in reusable containers. So these are the cleaning supplies that we will need to clean this house. They're all designated for the different areas. And we can refill them at our local eco store.
What has your strategy been to maintain a home of this nature?
So maintenance, first, I believe, starts with what makes it healthy. And the third principle of Hayward Healthy Home is cleanable surfaces. And what we know is that over time, habits in the house lay down layers on the walls. If you think about a smoker, it flavors everything in the air.
No smokers in your house?
No smokers. So we do need to actually be able to clean the surfaces, not just these counters, but the walls and the ceiling from time to time to keep a really pristine air environment in the space.
I'm not sure we even chatted about cleaning out your vents.
Well, there's two parts to that question. In this house, we have the Zender ventilation system, and it has filters that you replace. But the heating and cooling in this house is not a traditional forced air, it's radiant in the ceiling. Answering your question, for traditional forced air, you'd like to have at least a MERV 13 in the forced air system and at least a 2-inch pleated filter, ideally a 4. The thicker it is, the less resistance it puts on the system and the less energy it uses.
So Bill, did you incorporate an herb garden into the design of this home?
Absolutely. I have 3 little girls who love to garden, and we built one just outside. Can I show it to you?
I'd love to see it.
4 beautiful beds to grow organic, healthy produce that we can pick every day and keep our family healthy.
You know, I think about the synergy of what you're doing and the dedicated wellness space, the garden, cooking at home. It's a virtuous circle. We create a house that's more comfortable to be in, it's quiet. The family's more likely to stay home, to have dinner together. You're sleeping better at night. You're feeling better. You're living your best life. You're going out into the world. You can come home and recover in your healthy house. There's really good economics around that and really good family values.
So you have solar panels, and I'm interested to know just how much of the energy that's being captured will in fact be used in this home.
So 100% will get used in this home. And in reality, the home is designed to be net zero. But one of the disappointing things about the industry is they all model, and very rarely do they compare the actual power usage. So we have 10 kilowatts on the roof. The home's modeled to do that. We have energy modeling. I suspect that won't actually deliver 100% of the power. So I'm set up to add 3 to 6 more kilowatts on another part of the property if we need it, because we really do want to be net zero. I run a chain of lumberyards up and down the central coast of California and serve 5,000 builders. California is moving to net zero. We have water issues, fire issues. So we included not only net zero energy, but we tried to get to net zero water. So we capture every spare gallon and it gets reused for the vegetable garden and for the landscaping.
So we talk about continuous ventilation. Well, it turns out when there's a power outage, no continuous ventilation with no power. And it's not at all comfortable to be in a new modern house with no ventilation. You get a headache. The CO2 builds up, gases build up. So from a very minimum, we want to have some kind of backup energy to keep the ventilation, because now it's an essential system for the house. But in California, we have rolling brownouts, we have power outages, and we want to be net zero. And then there are reasons to store solar energy during the day so that it can be used at night when we're not producing solar energy to balance energy consumption on the grid. So hence, we have 2 Tesla batteries. So we have enough battery to operate all the minimum circuits in the house. And eventually, I may put a 3rd so we can operate 100%. Great story though. 2 days ago during construction, power went out for the afternoon. Normally all the guys would have packed up and gone home, but they worked the whole afternoon. So I partially paid for one of the batteries already.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
You are
for
welcome.
an amazing day. I've really enjoyed it.
It's been an amazing tour, and I'm so glad to watch you react to this and get excited like I am.
Well, more than anything, I'm just so thankful that you agreed to participate in the Wellness Within Your Walls program. And I've learned so much from you, and I'm so excited to share with the builders in the United States some of the many lessons that I've learned while working with you and what you've been so generous in teaching me as I go forward.
I'm really excited for us to share because we both have personal experiences. We both did this to make our families healthy. But what I think the legacy benefit will be that I'm really excited about is that other builders will see this, and by changing the way we build in America, we will change the health in America.
My hope ultimately is that we can transform health in America by all homes being healthy. And so we intend to bring architects, builders, others here to engage people in conversation about it, and to teach here in California and across the nation the process of building healthy, durable, and energy-efficient homes.
Above code.
Way above code. What we've learned in the industry through best practice and the top methods of building is that we can build here cost effectively, and actually just thinking about code holds us back from making the systems work to make things more affordable.
I've got some luggage in the car. You sure I can't spend the night?
A couple rooms.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much. That's the end of the tour. We're going to have a Q&A session now. I'd like to welcome Bill Hayward and Jillian Cook and Scott Chaplin to our Q&A session. Thanks so much for the tour. That was fantastic. Everyone, please continue to use the Q&A side of the Zoom webinar at the bottom to put any questions in, and we're going to get started. I wanted to kind of pose this to everyone about do you feel homeowners are connecting the concept of health and wellness to their homes?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think the as awful as the pandemic has been, it's launched the dialogue of health and wellness into the forefront. We've solved the energy crisis. It's now time to really solve the health crisis. And I think that consumers are very aware, and it's perfect timing to not just speak about air quality, but all of the other important elements that go into building a home, because ultimately the bottom line is we want to have longevity, we want to live long lives, we want to reduce our healthcare costs.
So my optics may be a little bit different. Our business is in part multifamily, so we're dealing with the prism of the tenants themselves and saying, hey, what does it feel like to live in a place that's built better versus not? And then the people that are buying and selling, to your point, buying and selling properties today, and how are they feeling, and what can a healthy home do for them? So if you ask just in terms of metrics and economics and motivation, how it impacts people are making rental, purchase, and disposition decisions based upon how I feel where I live. And so healthy home means really everything. And we can see it going like this right now in the market across the country.
Yeah, the pandemic was an accelerator. You know, we were home, and traditionally we were home, a room smelled bad. We'd go back to work, forget about it, right? We couldn't forget about it. We had to be face to face with it. And we opened windows and found we felt better. And we bought air purifiers and we found we felt better. So I think we have a sea change in consumer awareness.
Right. We've got a specific question. Pete would like to know what types of heating and cooling systems are in the house.
Yeah, so this house is unique. It has a radiant heating and cooling system in the ceiling. So it uses hot water in the ceiling to heat, and cold water. You also need to manage dew point. It's probably the highest level of heating and cooling in that there's no dust, there's no moving air, there's no pollution. It's a 15-minute response time. But any ventilation system that has filtration and also has a fresh air ventilation system in it
is a step up from the traditional systems in residential, which have no fresh air component.
Okay, thanks. And to that end, we've got a question from Deidre and a follow-on of, can you speak more about the types of building materials, the paints, and the chemicals that are less toxic, maybe for those who don't have the air purification system in the house? And specifically, someone's asking about the type of paint as well.
Just quickly on that, we in the building material industry love our materials, but they have a lot of chemicals in them. Some have more, some have less. So a simple step is to specify plywood, no OSB. That reduces a massive amount of chemicals. If you think in volume and weight, and you think all the kitchen cabinets that go in a house, if you actually took them and laid them out, all the plywood, it's almost more plywood than in the house for the sheathing. So your selection of your cabinets is essential to reduce chemicals. Plywood, not OSB. Try and pick an insulation that doesn't bother you. And insulations have different smells, so you want to pick one that you're good with. Low VOC paint, and then the sealants and caulkings. And we all have a budget to get to. So we focus on what I call the breathing envelope. What's inside the air tightness envelope that's going to be most impactful to the occupant, and spend your budget there first. And I know, Jillian, you have some thoughts on that.
Well, when it specifically, Deirdre, you're asking about paint and everything that Bill has just shared, you got to get the right envelope, and then what you put into the envelope and how your system controls the envelope. We cannot get toxins out of the building industry. It's just, they're not going anywhere. And if all you can afford is paint that has toxins in it, then it's even more important that you're able to understand what it means to have proper ventilation. And if you're in a rental situation and you don't have proper ventilation, then having a 500 square foot air purifier can be a big help. Understanding that off-gassing is everything. Opening the windows, making sure you get airflow. If you're fortunate enough to live in a new home that's high performing, again, try and look for anything that's low or no VOC, but some of the no VOCs don't hold up. So where there is a low VOC, it potentially is a bit better from a maintenance standpoint. So it's a little complicated, and depending on the environment, the budget, there's different protocols and different strategies to help reduce the toxins in your environment.
And I'd also say one of the things to keep in mind is you're kind of doing like a materials selection list for the home is even if you're aiming for everything to be low VOC, that will add up. So if you're starting to keep track of that, then you can kind of see, oh, maybe I should make a different choice in this room, because in this room, all of a sudden I have a bunch of things that are just kind of adding up to a threshold that I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah, and it's a layer. Every layer that there's a toxin present, timing your installation and allowing toxins to off gas before you bring another toxin into the environment, because two toxins together is a whole nother chemical reaction. And that's when it can be extremely detrimental. Adhesives are another big issue with putting adhesives on under flooring, adhesives under counter. And it really is a toxic chemical coming together as a cocktail that can be overwhelming. And Bill spoke in the video about body burdens, and you literally can have a blood test done to see what is in your blood. Often it leads back to even what we eat. Many people have a very high content of mercury if they eat a lot of fish. But all of this is very important in understanding, bringing the labels into it, what we ingest, and the conversation is all connected. And it's not something that is just a 1 day, 1 month, or 12 month. It's an everyday, it's a behavioral strategy. And we really have to stay on it, not just within the building industry, but in our everyday lives and everything we do.
Definitely. Thank you. Scott and Jillian, also, you both have clients, different clients, but clients. Have you seen a change in the client's interest level about health and wellness? We talked about COVID being an accelerator, but are people becoming more savvy about what they're coming in asking for? Are they asking for health?
They are, and they actually have choices now that, there's becoming a more common understanding, right? So there's exposure and dialogue about whether or not this is going to be good for my children, and we're expecting, and perhaps we want to live here because it's healthy, and we've heard it's healthy, or we've heard it's not, or what does that leak mean? Well, so I wouldn't say that we're at a point where there's complete clarity by all of the different people in that transaction chain, But I do think that people are, I don't think, I know, I experience on a daily basis, people are saying, is this good for us? And how's this different than that? So we're in that conversation. And how we describe that, which you guys are brilliant at, is really the moment.
And I also
Yeah.
think, it's dollars and cents, isn't it? If we can save money on the long haul by living our lives and conducting ourselves and making choices in a healthy manner, then it relieves the pocketbook. That certainly was how the energy movement got going and reducing costs and your monthly bills. And it's the same strategy with health and wellness, is making sure that we help the consumer understand that the outcome is, again, longevity, but also can reduce healthcare costs if we take into our own hands decisions that can affect, as I said earlier, body burdens.
And Scott, to circle back on something that you mentioned about the entire chain. So health can be kind of a nebulous thing. It's not, a healthy home can be difficult to quantify. You can't say, I have X of these or Y of these in some cases. So how do you convey that added value to the rest of the chain, say the appraisers, the lenders, so that someone can get that value out of their home if they're going to resell a healthy home?
Great question. And multiple different ways. My optics personally are a little different. I've got a background as a trial lawyer. I'm a broker. We build, we buy, we fix, we sell, and we care about the way we build. And frankly, largely because of my relationship with Bill Hayward and his understanding of how this goes and mentorship to me. So we convey it by saying, look, there are two things that are going to happen here. This is built right, and you've got a loan against it, and your security is better off than it would be if somebody has to come in and rebuild it because it wasn't built right. Your exposure goes down, the cost of maintenance goes down, or we're talking directly to the consumer, buyer and the seller, the tenant, the landlord, because we have management companies too. And we're saying, look, you're going to be able to have a tenant that's happier, and you're going to have less turnover, and there's an economic impact commercially on that, or somebody will sell this house faster, or it will trade for less. There are a lot of different elements to the economics of this, beyond the emotion and the connection to the property.
Great. I want to take a quick pause right here because we're almost to the top of the time that we have in our meeting appointment. However, Bill and Jillian and Scott have all agreed to stay until the top of the hour and continuing answer questions, which we have a number of them in the Q&A. But I want to quickly, just for those of you who do need to jump off at quarter till, I just wanted to put up a slide or two here just to let you know about what we're going to do in 2022, and then we'll get back to the Q&A. So this is going to be the final tour of 2021. Our tour that had been planned for December. If you've been joining us along this journey this year, you knew there was a tour planned for December. It's being pushed to January of 2022 due to supply chain issues, delaying completion of the project, which I know all the builders on the call here today, as that's not a foreign concept to any of you. So we are going to have that tour in January. And if you've missed any of our previous tours during the year, we've been doing them almost every month since April. Please check out our replay library, which you'll get a link when today's tour posts, or you can just Google NHB Green Home Tour Replay and you can get to it. So the 2022 tour series is going to shift to a quarterly schedule. We're going to have a tour in January, April, July, and October. We're going to continue doing the third Thursday of every month at 3 p.m. Eastern. And when I send out the link for the replay, I will have an updated calendar invite in for that so that you can put that in for next year. And January's tour is going to take us to Texas Hill Country. We are going. Greening the existing housing stock is critical to reducing the environmental footprint of residential construction across this country. So I want you to join us. I hope you can join us to check out the high performance remodeling journey of a mid-century modern home with Heather Ferrier-Laminack of Ferrier Custom Homes. Then in April, we're going to turn and take a look at resilient construction. We're going to take a look at some high performance homes that are designed and constructed to take whatever Mother Nature throws at them. Then in July, we are looking to going deep green in the Northeast with Craig Foley. I think we're probably going to try to target a passive house for that. So, but that is to be determined. And October, we'll let you know, hopefully the next tour. All right. If you need to drop off, remember that today's session is being recorded. It'll be available on demand at nahb.org in a few days, and I'll send you a follow-up email. In the meantime, if you've got any questions or feedback, please email nhblearning@nahb.com. And now we'll get back to the discussion. Thank you, everybody, for that pause. All right, we have several questions in the Q&A. Bill, I don't know if you've gotten this far since I know the home wasn't quite finished yet, but have you done any blower door tests yet? Can you tell us how airtight it is?
Yes, we did several. It's a passive house certified house. We just actually finally finished the blower door test. So it's at 0.47 ACH. Passive house requires to be under 0.6, and code, as a reference, is 5 ACH in the lighter climates and 3 in the heavier climates. So this is a factor of +10 tighter than any code house. And there's always the discussion, well, is it too tight? Well, actually, we're making houses tighter and tighter anyway. So it's not too tight. And we also don't want damp, wet air or polluted air leaking through the walls, because that leads to a biology experiment. And I saw one of the other follow-on questions, right? So if we want to make it tight, how do we do it? Well, we train the trades to say that we're building a balloon, and we focus on that air tightness level, and we use tape and we use non-toxic adhesives to tighten it up. And some of the funny stories, when we're getting to the final phase of the blower door test, there's still a bunch of air coming in. And where was it coming through? The conduits from the conduit boxes on the street. And I guarantee I don't want to smell that air in my house. But most houses that don't do this level of air tightness don't know that. It's tremendous savings in energy. And I think one of the points that you just made, Michelle, about healthy, durable, energy efficient, we need to combat climate change. When homes are healthy, they become energy efficient. And 60% of the market cares about health, whereas a smaller percent of the market cares to spend extra money on energy efficiency. Most of the market cares to spend money on making their family healthier. And I think as a builder, using that tool to grow your business and to be able to stand for that brand is super powerful in this post-COVID era.
Yes, definitely. All right, to the building envelope. There's more questions about that.
Okay.
Bill Walsh would like to know if you can talk more about the specific insulation choices that you made for the house.
So we have a basic standard fiberglass insulation inside the walls. We value engineer down to that because when you make an airtight wall, the insulation performs more like a vacuum. So you don't need foam, which off gases isn't problematic. And then we have a layer of rock wool banding the entire exterior. And that's how Passive House gets to an 80% reduction in the primary energy consumption. But our codes now require that continuous band. And when you have the continuous band, the house is simply more comfortable, and you can significantly downsize the HVAC system. So you have a lower cost there and use that extra money to put the ventilation and the right insulation. And the last thing I'll say about good insulation is homes accumulate moisture where there are cold spots. So if there are gaps in the insulation, that's where walls form mold. And so this is really a good risk mitigation tool, is to have a proper envelope.
Definitely. And I think that answers one of the questions about how you avoid mold development in your walls. Is it continuous
Do
envelope?
one more thing. We did spend a little more money on paperless sheetrock.
Okay.
And that's really a key step. And during the construction, we had a window blow open and we had water come in. We had no mold because there was no paper behind that sheetrock. So from my perspective, that is a must do in homes because stuff leaks. Let's face it, it happens over time. And if you got the paperless sheetrock, you're in much better shape.
Excellent. All right, there are several questions about your solar panels, which people are complimenting, by the way. Some would like to know about your choice of solar panels, and someone else would like to know, you were talking about your journey to net zero. Is the solar panels actually, are they powering the radiant heating?
So the solar panels provide, I'm not sure yet, because I just got the Tesla app working yesterday and the monitoring app. Often homes are built with modeled energy and it's modeled to be net zero, and rarely does that happen. And I'm sure that that's the case on my house. So we are prepared to add more solar, but it looks like we're getting 75% of our energy right now. I unfortunately can't tell you the brand of the solar panels.
Fair enough. Back to the insulation. I see a question about if you insulated the interior walls or not.
Yes, so the interior walls are standard low formaldehyde fiberglass insulation. And then we've added the rock wool as a continuous wrap over the top and under the slab, not rock wool under the slab. You have to use them more of a rigid foam that can withstand the compression. But by insulating all the way around, that's how you get to almost no energy consumption inside.
Jillian, you will probably take the lead on this one. What brand name or standard should a new home buyer be seeking these days when purchasing a home? Is there a good housekeeping seal of approval a new home buyer should be looking for today?
Well, that's a great question. There's a number of good programs. I am, as you know, very much in favor of the National Green Building Standard, and they created the WELL badge recently. And Wellness Within Your Walls supports the WELL badge, and we are another layer above. We get into the transition between the builder to the designer and architect, to the home furnishings and interior designer folks, to the consumer. The National Green Building Standard is really designed specifically for the builder to follow the guidelines of building a sustainable, high-performing home. And our education, along with some others, there's a Lead for Home has done a great job. They led the charge 15 years ago with putting together materials sheets and figuring out what can help keep the toxins down, which we've adopted. There's a more commercial program, which is the Well Institute has done a great job. It is often for much larger buildings and multi-story buildings, but Wellness Within Your Walls is really focused specifically on the residential builder, the single family builder, and we focused on the consumer. Our end result is the consumer, and we found that we're helping bridge between institutions and federations like NAHB and the National Real Estate Institute. We're a nice add-on in helping them connect with the consumer on what really is important. So Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval. That's a household name. I'd like to believe Wellness Within Your Walls will be a household name in years to come.
Does anybody else have anything to add on that?
There's a lot of good standards and tools out there between Living Building Standard and LEED. Hayward Score is a tool that can allow you to assess your own home and understand its own impact. Pick one. Well, I think the biggest challenge is to get people from, I'm not sure I understand this whole discussion about health, into the discussion and then up to some of these advanced standards. So we're anxious to just bring, to make the understanding of healthy home accessible to every builder in every market.
And I can just tell you that it's okay, real quick, just from a touch point perspective, people are asking, right? So the state of being right now is help us, tell us what to do, and give us guidance. And so the builders have the ball. It's your time. Now we simply need to deliver the message and the information that the folks on this screen are sharing with you right now. I mean, which standard it is it may even depend a little bit from market to market, but there are certain national standards that are totally solid. You guys have them.
And I would say to any builder that's on this workshop seminar today, I would start with the Hayward Score. It's a survey and it is very well written. It's not for new homes exclusively. It's for all homes. And it might be that you live in a really old leaky house, but it might be healthier because it is leaky. And air is moving in and out versus some of these energy efficient homes that are high performing, but are so tight and have not really considered the ventilation like they should. But Bill is, he has surveyed over 80,000 homes. It may be 85 now. I'm not sure, Bill, 85,000. And that information is so valuable to all the work that we're doing. But that's the place I would start. And you might be very excited by your score, or you might decide that you need to be doing something to upgrade your home after you receive it.
I definitely fell into the latter category when I did it.
Me, as did I.
The interesting thing about it is a lot of people talk about the concept of healthy home, but with 85,000 homes scored and tracking 22 medical symptoms, we now have the largest study on health and housing ever created. And so we use data that informed us about what assemblies and what places in each climate actually lead to healthier outcomes to develop a lot of the work that we've done at Hayward Score, Hayward Healthy Home, and now Jillian with Wellness Within Your Walls.
And I think that is a great segue into one of the other questions that I want to make sure we get to. But first, I just also wanted to say for either the builders, excuse me, real estate agents or the home buyers who are looking for how to talk about this, that is part of the entire initiative with the Home Performance Counts initiative. So there are translator tools on there for, I want this in a house. Well, this is what I should ask the builder. Or a builder says, I have this great system, but nobody understands that talk. So a way to translate it to both the clients and to the realtors. So anyway, I'll just put in the plug for that. And then move on to, there is a great question. To your knowledge, is the medical community assisting with the idea of healthy homes and talking with their patients? I was at an international healthcare meeting and the doctors there said the best national healthcare system for a nation would be healthy homes that result in reducing visits to their doctor or hospital. Can you mention any safety issues you were able to address too? Thank you, says Terry.
So I wish the medical community were doing more with it. In the integrated medical community, they're aware of it. In the asthma and allergy community, they're definitely aware that home is a trigger. Chemicals, we had challenged getting pregnant after being in an unhealthy home. So I'm sure that unhealthy homes contribute to fertility issues. At Harvard, at the T.H. Chan School for Public Health, Joe Allen's written this book called Healthy Buildings. And this is a study with the medical community, the public health community, and the business school, where they've documented the business case of healthy buildings. But the premise is your building manager has more to do with your long-term health and wellness than your doctor. And that's documented, right? The impact of buildings, it's not a debate, it's documented. And so what I say is your home, because we now spend 90% of our time at home, and this is where we breathe most of our air. This is where we get exposed to most toxins. Your home has more to do with your long-term health than your doctor. So when we think about the wellness community, they're super interested in it. One of the things I had to do, because I run a chain of lumber yards in Central California, is figure out how to convey the values of healthy home, not airtightness, to compete with granite countertops, fancy cabinets, new appliances, hardwood floors, and walk-in closets, right? That's what everybody wants. But it turns out when you say, you walk somebody in a healthy home, say, it's peacefully quiet in here. You can't hear the neighbors. People are like, I like that. And there's no dust. And you look around, there's literally no dust. I want that. And oh, it's pest free because the pests can't get through the gaps because there are no gaps where the air leaks through. They really like that. So it's those values that really distinguish healthy home and drive consumers to say, I want to be part of that. Oh, and by the way, it has almost no energy bill. That's cool too.
Very nice. All right. We have several more questions, which obviously we are not going to get to in 2 minutes. A number of the questions have to do with specifics about the Hayward Score, the Hayward Healthy Home Principles, and Wellness Within Your Walls. So I would encourage you to go to the websites for Hayward Healthy Home Score and for Wellness Within Your Walls, and then contact Bill or Jillian for more details on that. And in the meantime, I'd like to wrap it up. I'll start with Scott. Just if you've got any parting thoughts, we'll do a little roundtable.
I think the time is here. I think that the tools that have been discussed, Hayward Healthy Home, which we use when we're going to buy something, when we're going to rehab it, when we're going to lease it, we use it. It matters. And it gives us guidance, and it gives comfort to our partners, to our tenants, to our buyers. I think the tools are out there. I think the dialogue and the opportunity is now, and I think everybody listening should really grab these tools and go, because these things do absolutely impact value. When we buy and build right and sell, not only do we reduce the liability and exposure, but we reduce the insurance costs. There's a whole different conversation about how you can make your economics more efficient by listening to this discussion, which we would love to share with you at a later time.
Jillian?
Well, I think that, first of all, I want to thank you, Michelle, and I want to thank NAHB and the Real Estate Institute, the National Real Estate Institute, for putting this on. And this series is it's really good. I mean, if you enjoyed today, I've watched all of what you've brought to the table, and
Thank you.
it's very educational, and there's great education out there. Bill and I are just two people working hard for the same goal. But it takes a large federation like NHB to get the messaging out to the builders. And what I'm really hoping for is that the production builder is going to see the value in this, because most people in America do live in production housing. And these concepts, these strategies, they are all adaptable to any price point, as Bill had pointed out, with the Habitat for Humanity strategies that are built into his beautiful luxury home. So I think we've got a long way to go, but we're on the right track. And it's wonderful to know that there's folks like Scott out there that believe in this path. And I do believe many, many more real estate folks and brokers are seeing the value, and they really are at the forefront, chatting with the consumer and reporting back on the acceptability of this movement.
Great. Thank you. And Bill, I'll give you the final word.
Michelle, the implication is that we in the building material industry are now in the healthcare business, because the reality is homes do have a significant impact on the health of the occupant, which means that affordability in housing really needs to include the discussion of medical expenses. And when you add the two together and you realize that you can have a huge impact on reducing medical expenses, people can be healthier, energy efficient housing, it's a win-win across the board. And we know how to do it. The technology to do it has existed for over 10 or 15 years. Energy efficiency technology was solved years ago as well. So we have the toolbox. There are pockets around the country that are doing it. Now we need to share the knowledge and accelerate our movement towards healthy housing to create a healthier planet.
Great, thank you. And on that note, we're going to wrap up. We're at the top of the hour. I want to thank Bill Hayward for opening up his home to us. Thank you so much. And to Jillian Pritchard Cook for flying all the way from Atlanta to California to join Bill for the tour and the great conversation about healthy home construction. And to Scott Chaplin for bringing the real estate perspective to our conversation. Thank you all for being here. And thanks for joining us, everyone on the call. And we hope to see you in January.